everybody, and welcome back to another episode of The Points of Articulation. My name's Dave, and today is day 2 of Micro Machine March 2, the sequel. So today we're going to be looking at the Star Trek Micro Machines U.S.S. Enterprise NCC-1701-A. Now, the Enterprise A, like its predecessor, is a Constitution class, and it was first seen in Star Trek IV, The Journey Home, and its sequels, The Final Frontier, and The Undiscovered Country. Now, the only way you could grab the Enterprise A in 1993 was to buy the collector's set number 1 with the exclusive Enterprise A in there. And basically it was the same exact collection as the original, except now it had a little window box with the Enterprise A in it. So it was a money-making deal, I guess you could say. And for the longest time, I didn't even know they made it. So once I found out they did from my friend Doug, I went on the internet and just waited it out until I found one cheap enough for me to buy, and I just picked up the whole set. So for the Enterprise A's length, it's about 3 inches long, which is pretty nice for a Micro Machines. So we do have a lot to cover. We're going to look at the mold, the paint, put on a stand, compare it to some other ships, and then we'll be done. So let's get moving. Alright, kicking this review off looking at the mold, I must say, this is one of my favorite Micro Machines ever made. I'm a huge fan of the Enterprise refit / Enterprise A. I just love the pylons, the engines, the whole thing. Actually, the whole motion picture era has probably some of my favorite designs, including the Miranda. But, actually, this and the Miranda are very good Micro Machines. But anywho, I'm getting ahead of myself. Here we have our saucer section. We can see all the nice lines and panels. Our reactor, RCS thrusters, phaser banks, bridge, nice windows there. Pretty cool. Now, coming down underneath the saucer, more RCS. We have our phaser banks, sensors dome. We have our next section. This blank spot right here above my finger should be the photon banks, or the photon launchers, whatever. And we can see some lines and details. Pretty cool. On the back, we have our impulse engines. And it's pretty hard to make out, but there is a little detail going around the rim of the saucer. Not much, it's just little lines and about 2 lines going around the bottom. Very hard to make out, but it is there. So that's a nice touch. Now my dish is a little curved in. Is anybody else's like that? Or does anybody have one where it's actually out? Like in the film? I don't know. Let me know. And I had to bring it in a little closer for the secondary hull. We can see some paneling, windows. I believe that's supposed to be like a arboretum or something like that with trees and it's like a park. Pretty interesting idea. We have our deflector dish, which is nicely done. We can see the side panels on there. On the bottom, we have our peg port, copyright crap, shuttle bay, which is pretty cool. Back of the vessel, nicely done. We have our pylons, which are a little thicker than in the movie, but they're good nonetheless, and they have some details. Pretty cool. And then we have our warp nacelles, and we can see all that great detail going down the sides. And also on the interior. And I have a little detail on the warp nacelles on the back. Like those little fins there. Pretty sharp. All in all, great looking vessel. So now that we looked at the mold, let's take a look at the paint. Alright, taking a look at the paint, we have a small handful of colors. The main color on every section of the ship is this nice light blue. Then we have yellow for the RCS thrusters, phaser banks, and that's on the bottom as well. And also the window on the secondary hull on both sides. So that's pretty interesting. Then we have sky blue for the bridge. Mine is old, so it's a little worn off. Blue for the reactor. And then also blue for the deflector dish. And then we have dark blue for the ship name and registry, and that's on the top of the dish, bottom of the dish, and it's very clean, I must say. And it's also at the ends of the warp nacelles. Look how neat that is. For the size, that is amazing. It's also on this side as well. Pretty cool. Now we're also looking at dark blue and gray for the pylons. We can see the dark gray right here, and also the interior. And then we have that dark blue on the sides of the warp nacelles. Very clean, as you can see, too. Nice. Then we have red for the impulse engines. So that's pretty cool. And then finally we have red and white for the stripes and delta, which is very clean as well. So that does it for the mold and the paint. As we've seen, it's very nicely done. So let's put this bad boy on a stand, compare it, and then we'll be done. So just like most Micro Machine ships, it comes with a cool translucent stand. Just peg it into port like so. And you're good to go. And now for a quick size comparison with the Micro Machines Enterprise A. I have it next to its predecessor, the U.S.S. Enterprise, and then over here I have it next to the Galoob X-Wing Starfighter from this Star Wars line. Great ships all around. So that does it for day 2 of Micro Machine March. Today we looked at the Star Trek Micro Machines U.S.S. Enterprise NCC-1701-A. Again, first seen in Star Trek IV, The Journey Home, and for its length, it's about 3 inches, which is awesome. So even though I review a lot of Star Wars ships, I am a massive Star Trek fan, and the motion picture era, even though the first film is, I guess you could say universally looked down upon, I fell in love with the Enterprise refit, and once it was destroyed, spoiler alert, and the Enterprise A made its debut, I fell in love with it all over again. I just love these types of ships. So why do I like this particular model? First of all, the detail, as we've seen, is amazing. And also the paint. The paint just brings it to life. As we've seen, everything's filled in nicely. The words are readable and very clean. Fantastic stuff. And one little thing I want to bring up, and this is a question to my Trek fans. In my memory, when we see the Enterprise A, it's usually a off-white gray with some blue details going on the sides. Where do you think they came up with this paint scheme? If you guys have any thoughts, let me know in the comments below. You know I love to have conversations with all of you. So anyway, back on track. Another cool aspect is you get that nice stand, which unifies it with the rest of the line, which is important to me anyway. Now for cons, I really have none. I think this is a beautiful ship and very nicely made. So like I mentioned before, if you're looking to buy this bad boy, you can find it under the title of the Collector's Set number 1, released in 1993, and you'll see this guy in the right hand corner of that box. So I recommend this ship for anybody who's a fan of the motion picture era of Star Trek, if you're fans of the Constitution class, or if you like the Enterprise in general. So that's everything I have to say about this vessel today. I hope you enjoyed my review. If you did, hit that like button. And if you would like to see new reviews every Thursday, subscribe. Again, thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time. Bye, everybody.